What was one of the reasons you sought out Furniture Mall's in-home design services?
I don't know, they should go through the whole story.
Yeah, we won't go through the whole story. We're going to beat ourselves up. Just who gets to speak first on this? Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And a gentleman came up to you, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things was we knew what the project was, and we knew what we were going into. I think the biggest thing was we didn't know exactly what we were looking for. We knew that from our last transition, when we moved out of our other home, we obviously downsized, sold several pieces of furniture, and knew we were kind of starting over. So it was kind of a new furniture and a new home with a new exciting beginning. So the level of professionalism, the 3D modeling of the room, the understanding of the color, the literally coming here on site and doing confirmations, even when things were absolutely filthy. He walked through mud and parked his car in terrible environment, but still went to the fullest extent to ensure that we were pleased. I don't know, I'll let you.
No, that sums it up. He did an amazing job. We would have never been able to pick this out without him.
No.
So he did awesome.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest challenge was that nothing was done yet. So we were just going based on like small samples of things. Originally when they got set up, there wasn't even something to measure. They sent me blueprints, so it was easy to get the measurements correct, but at the same time, having never actually physically seen it until we came out here with samples, and by then we were like halfway through the process, so it was a lot of like, please let this work the way it looks like in my head.
No one's ever really spent the time with us, I think, is the biggest thing. You know, again, there's always that fear of, do you get the right thing or the wrong thing, or when you get it home, does it look like it's supposed to, and that kind of a thing. So I think the biggest struggle we've had in the past is kind of the feeling around in the dark phase, because we didn't, we had an idea of what we wanted, or at least we thought we did, but didn't know really, and then had buyer's remorse in some instances. And we would get it home and go, yeah, it's cool, it's neat by itself, but it didn't necessarily blend with everything else. So I think that, I don't want to call it loneliness in the purchasing process, but there's a bit of unknown that when you go on your own, well, I mean, you hope it pans out. Where in this instance, you knew without a doubt it was going to.
And now having from start to finish and having the two men come and deliver it, that was also awesome, and they did a great job. So everything's been great, start to finish. Not our experience
in the past. That's correct.
Yeah, I think it's really important to figure out what they want to feel when they're in the space. If they want to feel comfortable, relaxed, inviting, that's a really good jumping off point, because the furniture pieces I think are less specific and important than how you want it all to feel when you're sitting in it. There are so many sofas that could look like this, but which one is going to give you that feel of home?
I think it goes back to when we went to the store, and I apologize, I don't remember the very first individual we spoke to. Obviously, the nice people at the door always greet you at the store, but we got in touch with another guy, and we kind of just basically said, this is kind of what we're wanting to do, and he goes, I think it's worth your while to get a hold of our design team and work down that path, and that's not something we'd ever done before. You know what I mean? But we're like, sure. It was very convincing. It talked a lot about, the different ideas and concepts. And then from there, I think our first consultation with Brian, and, normally we walk in and say we're looking for a brown sofa, and they take us to the section where there's 15 brown sofas, and then they say, if you got any questions, holler back at me, and they're gone. And so we weren't in the process alone, I guess is what I'm trying to say, whereas normally whenever we're buying furniture, that's the case. So there was always, with Brian's support, and the store as well did a great job. But there was always just, I don't want to call it hand-holding, but at the same time, there was just a level of comfort to ensure that you weren't in it by yourself versus just a brown sofa.
I always say that it puts you in the driver's seat. It allows us to do the shopping. There are so many options that we have from our vendors that it's impossible to show them all on the floor. So I always say that this service puts the client in the driver's seat. They are the ones calling the shots. I'm just doing all the shopping. I mean, it took the Rileys, a few tries to land on this chair, but this isn't even a chair that we show in the showroom. So being able to come back to them and hear what they're looking for, know we need it to do X, Y, and Z, and then being able to kind of present them with options is is one of the greatest benefits, is that you get to see these kinds of pieces that otherwise you wouldn't even know existed.
Like, here's what we kind of like, and then he puts it together and we come back and go, oh yes, that's great.
Well, I think when you ask, if you talk to Brian, I think when we first sat down, we walked away the first experience. He puts it on the screen, he shows you kind of the 3D, here's some of the this, that, and the other that we went with, and so on and so forth. And when we walked out of the store, we're like, wow, I don't think we anticipated that. I don't think the level of detail, the manufacturer of the furniture, the options that we had, and so on and so forth. And don't get me wrong, we went back and forth on chairs and, the colors and what should we go with here and what pillows do we pick. And again, that's part of that 3 or 4 times that we met in the process. But no, it was just...
it was easy.
Yeah, it was easy, and we were very, very, not surprised, but we just hadn't done it before. Yeah. But we're very pleased.
Yeah.
So it was neat.
One thing that was super important to us, everybody being comfortable. And I believe that this will be very successful.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, we do a lot of things with respect to family and friends, and I think they'll be just as pleased as we are, which is important to us.
In our other house, we didn't have the openness in all of these places for people to sit. So this is, we can have everybody in the same room.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Working with the Rileys was great, and I'm so grateful that they really trusted me through this process so that I could take their previous experiences of oh no into an oh yeah.